Ludger Belanger, born on the 5th of November 1950, was raised in the small town of Mechanic Falls in Androscoggin County, Maine. Near the end of high school, he and his family relocated to Washington in Knox County. After graduating from Meadowmack Valley High School in 1970, he married his childhood sweetheart Linda in 1971 and worked as a heavy equipment mechanic at Bridge Construction. By the autumn of 1975, the couple were the parents of 3 young daughters. It was between 8:45 and 9 a.m. on the 25th of November 1975, in the final days of hunting season, when 25-year-old Lucher, known as Luge or Lugie to loved ones, came to a halt on Route 105 in Washington, Maine, in the company of his brother John and wife Linda. The trio had been hunting birds and rabbits early that morning. However, they had decided to return to the car's warmth as the weather had worsened. Snow fell from the sky above them, with temperatures having plummeted in the days leading up to Thanksgiving. Huddled in the car approximately half a mile from his home near the Somerville and Lincoln County lines, Lucher was wearing a red and black checked jacket, navy blue trousers of the Dickies brand, a blaze orange hat, and green rubber hunting boots. He told his wife and brother that he wished to go hunting again and picked up his .30-30 rifle, subsequently checking he had all he needed to go on a solo deer hunting trip in the wilderness nearby, which was blanketed in snow. As he departed from the vehicle, Lucher bid both Linda and John farewell, promising his wife that he would reunite with her at noon in order to drive her to Ho Ho Chinese restaurant, where she worked as a waitress on Western Avenue in the town of Augusta. Linda last saw her husband wandering in a nearby field as he headed out on his hunting trip. This would be the last sighting of Ludger Belanger alive. Midday arrived and Lucher failed to appear for the arranged lift to Augusta, leaving Linda anxious and concerned about her husband. According to Linda, on a 2019 episode of the Locating the Lost podcast, she stated that the Belanger family began searching for him, scouring the fields and surrounding area where he had been dropped off. They found tracks, however Lucher was nowhere to be found, an unsettling and eerie silence lingering in the air. Game wardens were alerted and joined the family in their search, with the Maine State Police later converging on the area to help find Lucher. Linda described him as a devoted husband and father, an enthusiastic outdoorsman and a kind individual, and strongly believed he did not disappear of his own accord. In the immediate aftermath of her husband's disappearance, Linda suffered from severe panic and was hospitalized that night. According to the Charlie Project, the couple's marriage and home life was good, therefore it seemed unlikely that he had disappeared of his own volition. After a thorough search, a game warden discovered evidence suggesting that Lucher had successfully shot a deer, dragged it across Creamer Lot Road, and was offered a ride by persons unknown in a passing vehicle. It was theorised by police that he may have been involved in some sort of altercation with a person in the vehicle. It was reported in December of that year that foul play was thought to have been involved in Lucher's disappearance. Over the years, new details emerged about the case, including information regarding the 2 individuals who might have been involved in Lucher's disappearance. Authorities have identified 2 suspects in his vanishing. During the initial search for Lucher, police discovered a receipt near the area with deer drag marks. Authorities later informed the family that they had tracked down the owner of the receipt, which was dated November 28, 1975, and was for repair works on a green 1965 Buick Special 4-door sedan, which belonged to Danny Collins Jr. of Portland. A second suspect, who was from Camden, died in an explosion at his home less than a year after Lucher went missing, while Danny Collins Jr., according to reports, remains in Maine. The pair informed the police at the time that they were hunting in the same area of Washington that day, but claimed they did not see anyone dragging a deer along the road. In 1977, Danny Collins Jr. allegedly confessed the murder to a friend, Charles Christensen Jr., stating that he and the other suspect, both under the influence of drugs, picked up Lucher and shot him in the back seat of the car after having an argument over the deer. Collins's friend reported this conversation to the police. Shortly after Lucher's disappearance, authorities examined the car, noting that its interior had been washed and the rear seat was missing. They also found a single deer hair stuck to the hood ornament. In 1985, 10 years after Ludger's vanishing, detectives started re-interviewing individuals and executed another search warrant on the same 1965 Buick Special. It's unclear where the car was at the time and why police waited an additional 10 years to search it again. During this search, police seized the 2 rear door panels, door and window handles, and a speaker cover from the rear seat. However, testing at the Maine State Police Crime Lab in Augusta found no traces of blood. Ultimately, investigators acknowledged there is a theory and some corroborating statements, but there's not enough evidence to press charges against anyone. In June of 2001, 26 years after the 25-year-old's disappearance, a judge in Knox County officially declared Ludger Belanger as deceased due to, quote, the due diligent search of family, the Maine Warden Service, and the Maine State Police over a period of 26 years. The declaration had been requested by Linda, who at the time was wishing to remarry. Linda, now known as Linda Perkins, stated in a 2020 interview that she and her family continue to receive information about Ludger's disappearance from various individuals. A family-managed Facebook page, Justice for Ludger Belanger, which was set up by his daughter Angel, who was 23 months old when her father vanished, has garnered interest and initiated discussions about the case. Although the disappearance is talked about less frequently than in previous years, Linda noted that it remains a topic of conversation in Washington and Knox counties. Linda has organised several private searches, stating that she utilised, quote, cadaver dogs, trackers, and professional experts to find the body of her first husband. She and her children have also had to contend with misleading rumours about the location of his remains. In the 1980s, for example, one of her children even considered leaving school after hearing awful rumours and being taunted by fellow students. Linda is an active member of the Maine Cold Case Alliance, and she advocated for the establishment of the Unsolved Homicide Unit, a specialised team within the Maine State Police dedicated to investigating so-called cold cases. Linda firmly believes that individuals with knowledge about Ludger's disappearance have remained silent. The family has been cautioned against asking too many questions, but Linda remains determined to find answers. State police report that investigative efforts on the case have persisted over the years. A new 4-person cold case unit was announced in 2020 with the focus exclusively on unsolved homicides. Lieutenant Jeffrey Love of Belgrade, an experienced homicide detective, was appointed to lead the team of detectives in the Major Crimes Unit in Augusta, which handles homicides and suspicious deaths, as well as the new Unsolved Homicide Unit. There is a headstone dedicated to Ludger Belanger in Sand Hills Cemetery in Somerville. According to an article dated in November 2015 and the Charlie Project, all 8 of Ludger's siblings are still alive. Ludger's mother passed away almost 3 decades after her son disappeared, and his father, Raymond, known as Frenchie, passed away in August of 2011, both never knowing what happened to their beloved son. Linda Perkins, who had Ludger's parents in attendance at her second wedding, recalled of Ludger, quote, "He was kind, he loved to hunt and fish, he loved Maine. Ludge was a great father, he was a great husband, he was just a good guy." She still lives in the home Lucher had built himself on land owned by his father, and despite the property having suffered damage from a fire, Linda managed to repair the home to its former glory. Linda further stated, quote, "I think if they had the technology they have today, there would have been somebody arrested. They didn't have a blood type for Lucher. With DNA technology, more could have been done." She concluded, quote, "I remember all the good times. I remember all about Ludgie. The bad times are sad, but they're part of my past. I still would like some closure, but it's been 40 years. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Ludger Belanger, you can contact Maine State Police Major Crimes Unit by telephone 207-624-7143 or toll free at 1-800-452-4664.